Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. Today I wanted to talk about reading goals. Usually I start thinking about reading goals or reading resolutions or just in general goals for the next year quite early on, I think. But yeah, basically I wanted to look back on my goals for 2018. Hopefully you can't hear the washing machine. I wanted to look back on my reading goals for 2018, see how I did with those, and also to share with you my reading aspirations for the coming year of 2019. Over the years I have sort of shifted my my way of doing or making goals specifically to do with reading, because reading is supposed to be a very fun thing for me, and fun in the sense of being transported and escapism, definitely, but also in the way that it engages me and that it doesn't feel restricted. So that is sort of why my goals are quite different now than they were a few years ago. Basically, I had three main goals, and the first one was to stop using star ratings because I found the whole rating system very frustrating at that time, and I had done previously a full year without any ratings, and instead focused on reviewing every book that I read. I haven't rated any books, or I think with the exception of one or two that just felt like they were easy for me to pinpoint. But I think going forward I probably will use some kind of combination of ratings and not ratings, because one of the things I like about star ratings is that you get this sort of overview of your feelings about a book, and also just in general it is kind of helpful for other people, I think, just to get an overview and general sense. Obviously it doesn't tell you much in depth, and that is one of the reasons I found it frustrating, but I think there is some value to it. I don't think it is a good replacement for reviews, for me anyway. I don't remember enough without a review or some thoughts, just based on the star rating, if I liked it and didn't like it and what I liked, etc. So I don't think that star ratings will ever really replace reviews for me. But I have noticed that when I've been more busy, I just haven't really been on point with my reviews. I've been lagging a little bit behind. It will be helpful for me to have some kind of overview for myself. So I think going forward I will have sort of a combination of things, but I have stuck to the no star ratings for the year. The other goal I had was to use the library less, because I wanted to annotate more. This has been sort of a progress thing over the year, because I started annotating my books quite a lot in the last couple of months or weeks of 2017. And I really enjoyed doing that and that whole process. So I just felt like the library, having library books was kind of affecting or limiting my way of annotating, because I couldn't annotate a library book. So I sort of was trying to figure out how I could combine those things and finding that balance. And at the point of last year I felt like annotating was more important for me than using the library. Throughout this year I have been using the library. At the beginning of the year I had a little bit of a break because I was still figuring out how to use it. But since then I have quite frequently used the library, and as you will probably have seen throughout the year, I have been reading a lot of library books. And I've also been using Scribd and other things, so that there are quite a lot of books that I don't actually own. But one of the things that I've sort of gone around this whole thing is to take photos of passages I like. So I've still been able to sort of save some of my favorite passages, and for the library books that I've loved and annotated a lot, I have saved the annotations and put those books on my sort of to buy list, so that I can buy them, and then when I do buy them I will add those annotations in. Hopefully, that is my idea anyway. But I've also realized that while I love annotating, I don't annotate every book that I read. And I think towards the end of the year last year, I was so new to the whole thing of annotating, more than just underlining. I was starting to really actively annotate in the sense of writing marginalia, and that was quite a new thing for me then, so I think I was probably kind of excited about that, and I was doing it more because it was a new thing, whereas now I still do marginalia quite a lot, but it isn't every book that creates that kind of reaction from me, which I think is natural. I've tried to use the library more in sort of a balance, and I think going forward I will probably try to use the library slightly less, because I still have a lot of books on my shelves and I like to be able to read them immediately, and I feel like I often feel a little bit stressed out with the limitation of time on a library book, so I end up prioritizing them over my own books. Which isn't very convenient when I am constantly buying new books. The last goal I had for 2018 was to read more nonfiction. Hopefully that has been apparent over the year that I have been reading a lot of nonfiction. I haven't necessarily read more nonfiction because last year I think I was about a third of my books, or 30% of the books that I read were nonfiction, and that is probably more or less the same. Obviously I read through the Wainwright shortlist this year, which meant I read a lot of nonfiction books at the same time, or one after the other during the summer, which I really enjoy doing, and I think I will probably try to do that next year as well if I have the chance. So yeah, I wouldn't say that I necessarily have read much more in terms of quantity, but I've definitely been prioritizing it. This year I think has been my year of biography, because while I haven't read a lot of biographies, I've read a few that have been really big, and the biography genre is a kind of a nonfiction subgenre that I've always found very intimidating. So yeah, I think nonfiction is a thing I will continue to read a lot, and hopefully read even more next year. So yeah, those were the goals I had last year and how I did with those. But the goals I have for 2019, my first goal for 2019 is to go back to my favorite authors, or to read more of some of my favorite authors or writers that sparked something in me, that I feel like I've loved their writing style and I really want to read more of them. And I say that, but then I don't return to their bibliography. In 2019 I would really like to prioritize that, to finally read Salinger's The Roof Beams Raise the Roof Beams High, that book. I would really love to finally read that, because that is the only Salinger that I haven't read so far. I would love to read more of Siri Hustvedt's books, because I loved her book What I Loved, and I really enjoyed The Blindfold as well, although it is a typical debut novel kind of thing. But there are a lot of writers like Shirley Jackson that I would like to complete their bibliography or to return to more. Some authors that I've only read one book of and would just like to read more of them. Some that I would like to finish their entire bibliography. And I think that is to read more of one person's work is something that I've always liked an idea, but I don't often prioritize it in my reading, and I would really like that to be a focus point in my reading in 2019. The second goal that I have is to make rereading a reading priority, just the same as any other reading. I've had a complicated relationship with rereading over my lifetime. Unlike a lot of people who reread their favorite books as a child over and over again, I didn't really do that. I had a few exceptions to the rule. This year in 2018 I have reread a few books that I hadn't reread before, and it was such a fun experience, and I feel like I am realizing more and more that it doesn't have to be a boring experience or an experience of everything being expected, because first of all, you forget a lot of the details. Second of all, you see new things, because a book is rarely just plot Although there are a few books like that that are fun to reread just for nostalgia. But for example, I reread Salinger's short story collection 9 Stories, and I felt like I could see some of the reasons I loved this collection in the first place. I felt like I understood better why I liked it so much, seeing specific things that he does in his writing. I would really like to make rereading something that is central and like a normal part of my reading, so that I don't even consider the fact that it is a reread. I just want it to be more like, I want to read this book, and I will just reach for that, and it won't be a big thing. It won't be a feeling of I'm wasting time going back to this book when I haven't read these books. I want to sort of take away that element and really think of it as a new experience, because that is what it is for the most part. So yeah, that is the thing that I would like to sort of also make part of my reading, and how I approach my reading, making it more of a natural thing for me to return to books and to engage with them deeper and multiple times and from different angles, and seeing new things. The third goal is more of the fun challenge thing, and it relates back to the nonfiction reading, and that is I am going to make a nonfiction bingo. Yamini from The Skeptical Reader has done sort of a bingo card for herself as reading goals, I think twice in previous years. And she's done like reading challenges within that bingo card, and I really like that format. Sort of having reading challenges as a list, but instead of forcing you to read through the entire list, you have that kind of the two options of either doing the bingo or creating or filling out the entire card. I thought that I would do this kind of bingo card for myself with nonfiction challenges, basically to inspire me to read more widely within nonfiction. So I thought that I would create this as a fun thing to do that. I have already thought about all of the challenges, but I haven't decided on which ones to choose, because I don't really know how big I want the card to be, how many squares I want it to be. Some of the challenges I'm hoping to include in the nonfiction bingo card is some things to do with subgenres, like read a book about chemistry, read a book about a World War II or World War I or II history. Some things I want to be more in terms of who has written the book, like read a book read a nonfiction book that has been translated, or read a book that was published this year, things like that. So I want to sort of combine some things that are more to do with the topic that the nonfiction book takes on, and some things to do more with the format of the nonfiction. And I feel like this would be a fun way to sort of motivate me to reach for things that doesn't come naturally to me. So those are all of my reading goals for 2019 and my look back on the goals for 2018. I would love to hear your thoughts about reading goals in general, if they work for you, if you are making any for next year. I hope you're having a really good day, and I will talk to you soon.